Hello and welcome to the Ready to Bloom podcast with your host Holly Wharton. Ready to Bloom helps heart-centered women entrepreneurs to overcome their fears, blocks and limiting beliefs so they can be more successful in business. As a heart-centered business owner, you do amazing work. Holly's mission in life is to help you help more people. Help us help more women in business with a quick review of this podcast. It just takes a minute to leave one today over at iTunes. The more women who find out about this podcast, the more we can help women in business. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to the Ready to Bloom podcast, episode 82. This is your host, Holly Wharton, and I'm here with today's very special guest, Julia Bernard-Thompson. Julia is the creator of the Instant A.Pp.E.A.L System and the Moneymaker Programme. Julia's knack and passion for turning services into high-end packages has had her nominated for a national award and inspiring from stages in the UK and in the Caribbean. Julia Bernard-Thompson shares with you practical ways for you to offer your services so that you make your first 100K with integrity and ease. So if you're exhausted from creating offer after offer and still not making the money that you want, and if you're tired of hearing, I can't afford it from prospective clients, then today is your chance to change that. I'm really excited to welcome Julia Bernard-Thompson. Welcome, Julia.
Thank you very much, Holly.
I'm so excited to have you here today.
I think I'm more excited than you are to be here. I'm
wow.
sat here grinning. So yeah.
Good. So why don't you start out by telling us a little bit about your background and your business journey and how you got to where you are today?
That's a bit of a colorful story. People will probably tell from my accent that I'm not American and I'm not English, and they're wondering, where in the world is that accent from? So I'm Trinidadian, and I've been living in the UK now for, I think, about 15 or 16 years, actually. So it's been a while. And then my husband is from Northern Ireland, so I lived over there for a little while. So I think my accent along the way has picked up inflections of every place that we've been. So that explains my voice. In terms of my business journey, I actually started my very first business in Northern Ireland. It was a hair and beauty retail shop. And as a Black woman, when I moved to Northern Ireland, I didn't realize that there wasn't going to be much shops available that sold the beauty products and hair things that was so easy for me to get in London. And so I started a shop with the best of intentions, thinking that, of course, every single Black or other minority ethnic woman, for miles around would just flock to the shop and I'd be an instant overnight millionaire. And that was definitely not my experience because actually my shop shut in 7 months because I made rookie mistakes. Having said that, fast forward to 2011, so that was in 2007 that the shop shut, left me £20,000 in the red, which was not a nice feeling. I had borrowed money from everywhere, every bank and every person who would lend me. So that was a bit of an eye-opener. But anyways, fast forward to 2011 and I've kind of paid off some of the money and I decided to start a wedding planning business. And this time I started a business that catered only to mixed couples, because I'm Black and my husband is white and we're from two completely different cultures. When we were getting married, some things just didn't go as easily as I had hoped they would when I was contacting suppliers, because people don't always understand that you have to consider a lot when planning a wedding. It's not just about the pretty bits, but it really is such a big coming together when you've got two different cultural backgrounds. Mm-hmm. And so I started the wedding planning business and catered exclusively for mixed couples. And that was pretty much my secret sauce. Because what I realized was that people were quite happy to pay for something when, one, it was very clearly for them, and two, they had a sense of this person really understands my struggle. And I didn't have, thankfully, any issues with that business. It grew. Then what started happening was people were asking me to train them to be wedding planners. Which you're going to laugh, but it took about 6 months of emails from people saying, do you offer classes? And I kept going, why are people asking me to teach them when there's so many other wedding planning courses around? And for about 6 months, all I would type was this really polite email saying, no, I'm really sorry, I don't do any classes. And one day I said to my husband, this is like the 900th, we exaggerate. This is like the 900th email. Somebody again wants to know if I teach wedding planning. And he looked at me, and he's an engineer, so he's very methodical. He's very dry. He just says it how it is. And he went, so why don't you do classes then? I was like, thanks, not. And then I said, but I've never taught anybody, But in my job before, because I worked as a corporate analyst before, and I used to have to put together training courses at work. But sometimes, with the best of intentions, we don't always think that we can do it for ourselves. And that's definitely where I was. So I started doing the classes, started teaching wedding planning classes, starting teaching my wedding planning students how to package their services and how to charge and how to price and how to ask for premium fees right from the start, all of the things that I kind of took for granted. And I say it with the utmost honesty, I didn't realize it was a thing. Mm. And then what happened was the people who trained with me then came back to me and said, well, now you have to show us how to run the business and how to actually make money. And so I started little by little having less brides and focusing more and more. And it was really gradual. It was one of those things that was so gradual, I didn't kind of realize it was happening myself. Mm. And it was really gradual until I had more coaching clients and no brides. And I realized somebody sent a referral saying, somebody sent me an email saying, such and such has referred you as a really good coach and you help people package their services. And I was like, I guess that's what I do now. So my journey has been slightly unconventional. I never, ever set out to be a business coach. As far as I was concerned, my analyst days were well and truly behind me. When I left corporate and I was like, never, ever, ever am I going back. I don't have to do any of this again. But lo and behold, the stuff that I teach my clients is exactly what companies paid me to do for them. So my corporate life hasn't really left me, and those skills haven't really been put to bed. It's just that my clients now get the benefit of that. Academically, I have a master's in forensics, which is how I ended up becoming a corporate analyst. And so it was all of the behavior and patterns and looking for what's missing and filling in the gaps, which is so much of what business coaching is about, that I bring to my clients now. So that's the story of the last 4 years in a nutshell.
Wow. I love the way it was so gradual that you didn't even realize it was happening.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was one of the funniest things because it wasn't until, in my mind, I was a wedding planner who taught classes and helped people grow their business. A friend asked me, she wasn't a wedding planner, she asked me to help her create a high-end offer for herself. And I did it, and, I didn't think anything of it. And she's like, well, how much do you charge? And I was like, I don't charge for this, and we did a swap. Not that I felt undervalued or anything. It was just that it was right. And it was at the end of my nose, but I couldn't see it because you can't see your own nose unless you look in a mirror, And it was just one of those things that was so gradual. It was almost as if, psychologically, people say the thing that you run from the most finds you in the end. And I had made such a point of walking away from the analyst work with a flourish that little by little, I think my heart just crept back to it, but in a way that I feel good about now and I'm not stressed out about now,
Yeah, that's excellent. So let's talk a little bit about these high-end offers that you help your clients build. I think a lot of people in business are really afraid of creating high-end offers. Do you find that in your experience?
Absolutely. I get it. I mean, I think whenever I talk, because I get most of my clients from speaking, and people always ask me, what if I create something and nobody buys it? Or I get, Julia, nobody's going to pay that. You're crazy. I have people tell me I'm crazy to my face, which is fine. I think I've been called worse things in life and I've survived. And there's a real fear behind charging anything more than, I would say, £1,500 or dollars, depending on, where people are listening to this. And it's a genuine fear, and it's a palpable fear. It's a paralyzing fear, and it's something that I really have to work on with my clients, even before we can actually put the package together. It's the whole, yes, you can charge that. And I come from it completely from a place of experience, because I remember when I first charged £10,000 for something. Actually, I tell a lie. Before I charged £10,000 for something, I charged £2,200 for a floristry workshop, which was one day. And everybody told me I was crazy, because at the time people were charging £50, £60 for the same thing. Everybody told me I was crazy. My mom, my sisters, they were like, nobody does that. And I did it, and I had 12 women sign up.
Wow.
So, and it worked. And then the next time I charged £10,000 for something, again, everybody told me nobody's going to pay you to work exclusively with them for a week. It was actually my destination wedding planning service. And I like to emphasize that the 10,000 was my fee. It didn't include the wedding costs. And when I first put this quote together, I'd sent it off to various places. And one of those places was the Trinidad High Commission. And they came back with a very beautifully worded email that basically boiled down to, are you mad? Nobody's going to pay that. So when the government of the country that you're from says to you, nobody's going to pay that, you kind of think, oh my gosh, what have I done here? But I was persistent, and I was really, really clear on who the service was for. And I think that's the main thing when it comes to selling high end. It's about being really clear who the service is for, because then the clients self-identify. They go, that's me. She's talking to me. That's what I want. And when I sold that first 10K package, the client decided in 3 days. And they paid in full.
Excellent.
And as a matter of fact, when I gave them the brief and I said, well, my fee includes me traveling to Tobago with you for a week, so you have me on hand in the week before the wedding, the bride let out a sigh of relief. And she was like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. She said, because that was my main worry. And I said, what was your main worry? And she said, well, I could book somebody in Tobago, but then suppose I send them my money and they just steal it and I can't do anything. I get there for my wedding and nothing's been done. Or I could book somebody in the UK, but then what if we get out there and something goes wrong, and how am I going to fix it? She said, so I kind of thought in my head it would be perfect if I could have somebody based here who could go out there with us. And that's what I gave them. And so they bought it.
Wow, that's perfect.
So good point of view from, what works psychologically, but I'm also teaching it from experience.
So how was it that you created this irresistible package to people? Now, I understand that you were, providing that service of actually going to the destination with them, but how did you manage to communicate this to them in a way that they realized that this is what they needed?
Right. I'll give you a short answer,
okay.
But I want to give a fair answer so that people listening can get it.
Yeah.
Now, in my introduction, you talk about the Instant A.Pp.E.A.L system, and those letters all stand for something. So very quickly, A is to attract clients who want to buy. P is price, package, and position. E is effortless sales. A is add the upsell, and L is launch. So in the P stage, what I teach and what I suggest is that you build in something that responds to your client's objections. So for example, and that works regardless of what industry you're in. So for example, the first time I did it with that wedding planning package, I had done my homework, and I was in forums that dealt with destination weddings. I was on notice boards that dealt with destination weddings, and I read what the prospective brides were asking. And when they're asking their peers, they're asking things about transport, about travel, about what if something goes wrong? And that was a main theme. What if something goes wrong? What if something goes wrong? And people were responding saying, oh, that was the same thing I was worried about, which is why I just booked a package from Virgin, or which is why I just booked a package from Thompson's Holidays, or which is why I went with Sandals Resorts, because they're an international brand. And if something goes wrong, I knew where my money was going. So that was a running theme. So I knew trust. It was trust. And people were not buying because of trust. So I knew that in order to make my package instantly appealing to my buyers, I had to build in that trust. And so the best way I could think in that moment to build in the trust was to say, I will go with you. What what's more trustworthy than that? You've met me, you've seen me, you know me, I would be in the run-up to you, you're ringing me, you're talking to me, we're meeting in person, all in the lead up to the wedding, and I get on a plane and I'm there for a week at your beck and call, 24 hours a day for 7 days in the run-up to your wedding. For me at that moment, there was nothing that said, trust me more than that, or you can trust me more than that. And I knew that it would immediately respond to and address that concern for people of, I can't buy this because what if they disappear with my money? And so that's what I teach my clients. When we do the whole piece about working out who your ideal client is, and I have to admit that because of my analyst background, this bit is something that I work through very systematically with clients, kind of getting into your client's mind and looking at the psychology of buying and how people behave when they buy and all of those things. And then the next step is, once you've really, really gotten into the person's mind, is to build in that high-end package, everything that they tell you they need, because you've really come to get to know them as a person. So if you are a cleaning lady, and somebody says you're selling a £2,000 cleaning package, which somebody go, but Julia, people clean your house for like £6.50 minimum wage an hour. There's no way on earth they're going to pay me £2,000 to do the same thing. Well, what if you offered some kind of secure pet minding service as well, or only cater for people who traveled a lot and were away from home for 3 weeks out of the month, and they wanted somebody more than just to come in and clean, but they wanted somebody who'd water the plants and open the curtains twice a day and put the lights on and off. And they also wanted somebody who'd have a hot meal waiting for them every time they came home. And they also wanted somebody who could organize to have their cleaning done or their washing done or whatever it is while they were away, and would help them transition for the next trip. Do you see what I'm getting at? So
it's a complete service.
It's a complete service. So it's not just the one thing in isolation. It's answering almost every possible question that your client will have in their head that might prevent them from A, buying your service, or 2, achieving the result. Because that's the other thing that needs to be included. Everything that they're going to need to get to the end result. If they need to lose £10 in a week, what are they going to need to lose £10 in that week? Because they're going to be thinking, there's no way I can lose £10 in a week. I can't live on lettuce leaves for a week. Oh, I'm going to get fed up of drinking shakes for a week. What if I run out of vitamins in that week? So then you think, okay, fine, I'll give you all the vitamins you need for the week. You get a menu plan for the week. You can upgrade and have somebody come in and prepare all of your meals for the week, So it's about building in, it's answering the 2 questions. What will prevent them from buying? And what will prevent them from getting the results that they're aspiring to, and building all of those things into the high-end package.
That is excellent advice. So would you say are those your top 2 tips on how to create a high-end offer that people will actually buy?
That's the secret sauce. The secret is now officially out, yes. That's the magic. Because you know what? Once you get, and those are the first 2 steps in the process, once those 2 things are in place, everything else flows from it. The sales conversations become easier because people are buying themselves in. I mean, you've put everything in there. There's no reason for them to say no. And if they say no, I have had people go, oh, I can't have that one, and then I say, okay, fine. Shall we look at another one? And they look at another one. Or I've had people just email me and go, can I buy X? I don't know them. I don't know how they found it. And it's happened for my clients as well, because the idea is you've answered all of the questions already in your package. So there's no wiggle, not wiggle room in an underhanded sense, but there's no room for doubt. They know you're the person for them because you've laid it out so perfectly.
I love that. I think
I'm glad you do.
No, but I think a lot of people don't look at it from those 2 perspectives. How to include, everything that's going to prevent them from buying and everything that's going to prevent them from getting results, and actually speaking to those things and making sure that the package has everything that they absolutely need and communicating it in a way that they understand it clearly.
Absolutely. And that is the secret sauce right there. The funny thing is, we think we do that, but we don't. Because what happens is, when we come to create, now I say this and I do this as well, me creating my own packages, if anybody ever filmed me, I'm telling you, it's laughable. Because I have to kind of go about it, write the thing, leave it alone, and come back and read it. Mm-hmm. And so we often think that we're saying everything. But what I find is that because we are so close to what we do, there's lots of steps that people do that they don't realize that they do, one. And two, they don't realize needs to be itemized, and they don't realize needs to be charged for. Because it comes so easily, doing what you do comes so easily to you, that it's easy to overlook all of the steps on the process that you go through to do what you do, because it happens really quickly.
And so what do you do to help make sure that you're not overlooking those steps?
And the funny thing is, I use Instant A.Pp.E.A.L with my clients, and I teach them to use it as well. Because once we go step by step, the first thing is, who is this for? We don't move until we figure out, who is this for? I often use this example. If you're selling something that will help with back pain, if you're a Reiki therapist, well, anybody with a body can be Reiki'd.
Yes.
But you can't sell a package that's £3,000 to anybody with a body. So let's get smaller. Boy bodies or girl bodies, Right. So we've narrowed it down. And are they girl bodies of a certain age, of a certain, and then you narrow it down. And what we're going for is, are they experiencing back pain because they've had a cesarean and they had an epidural and something didn't go to plan? Or are they experiencing back pain because they're a nurse and they've been a nurse for 20 years? And 20 years ago, it didn't have the safety things in place for nurses, so they spent time moving patients badly. That's two different people.
Yeah, excellent advice.
So you can't sell the same thing to those two different people. And that's often what people try to do. Because the thinking is, if this can appeal to more people, you will get more sales. Unfortunately, that is not the case.
Exactly. You've got to know exactly who you're selling to and speak to them directly.
Speak to them. So if it is, this Reiki is for you if you've been a nurse and you've hurt your back moving patients, nurses everywhere will be beating a path to your door. When they compare your Reiki to the person next door who's just Reiki for anybody with a body, who are they going to go and pay the $3,000 to? They're going to pay the $3,000 to you because you've said this particular type of Reiki is for nurses who've hurt their backs at work, And that's the key, that's the thing to sort of differentiate and make it work.
Excellent. So could you tell us a little bit more about your Moneymaker program and your other ways of working with clients? Because you've got a number of different offers.
Sure. My Moneymaker program is sort of my signature program. It is the longest and most intensive way people can work with me, and it's the way that they get the biggest results. It includes everything from clarity over who your ideal client is and what they're struggling with, right through to the wealth and mindset stuff. And it's done in 3 parts over 3 months. Now, I'll tell you the truth. The Moneymaker program has kind of come along out of need. I didn't intend on working with people for 3 months. And what happened was I only used to do intensive days. And then I realized, actually, my clients were having the intensive days and I wasn't getting rid of them.
They needed more of you.
And I laugh because some of them will listen to this and they will know I will say, you don't need me anymore. You can do this. Goodbye. I love you. Thank you. Goodbye. Because as a coach, you don't really want to foster dependency either. So the Moneymaker program, the promise is that at the end of the 90 days, people have everything in place to bring in 5 to 10K consistently every month in their business. Now, some people say, oh, but a 5K feels, they freak out at that number. Well, all right, then we find what your number is and we tailor the plan to that. But the fundamentals are in there. I mean, it covers everything. It covers the ideal client stuff. I help them create their packages. I help them with their sales conversation. They get their signature talks. They can sell from stage, email, marketing content, you name it, it's in there. The wealth and sales bit is my favorite bit, even more so than the actual packaging bit, because I think sometimes wealth consciousness gets a bad name.
Yeah.
And I'll explain what I mean about that. You know, I find that when people come, they go, oh, I'm not going to do the program because I need to have a certain level of wealth consciousness first. Well, it's the same like saying, I won't run a marathon until I can run a marathon first. You know, the only way you get that magic level, whatever it is, of wealth consciousness, and I say wealth consciousness in quotes, is if you exercise the muscle. You know, I didn't just wake up and think, I'm going to sell a 10K package. I used to sell stuff at £57 and 97. And when I went to 150, I thought I'd freaking lost my mind. And then I went to 200 and 250 and, 1,000 and 5,000. And then I got to 10,000 because it's a muscle. Mm-hmm. If somebody wakes up and says, I'm going to sell something for £10,000 now, hats off to you, but you're going to crash and burn. It's like buying a brand new Maserati the day after you've passed your test and you don't go out with a test driver. You're going to spin the thing and you're going to crash. It's exactly the same. And that's how I teach wealth consciousness. I really don't teach it from any super spiritual, magical, meditate till the cows come home point of view, although that is very important. But I teach it from get your butt in gear, sell the first one. I don't care if you freak out. Sell it at £500, freak out. Sell it at £600, freak out. By the time you sell it at 800, you freak out a bit less. And when you sell it at 1200, you're thinking, why didn't I do this before? And then we go from 1200 to 2000. And guess what? You might freak out a little bit then, but you're going to keep going until you get to the 5,000. So that is my favorite module in the program. And that comes at the end, because I think if you stick with it that long, then people don't realize that each of the stages builds up to that. It's about putting everything in place and being confident in what you're offering and being confident in how you're selling it and in yourself and in the value of what you're offering before we get to the magic of, all right, then now let's deal with the stuff. A lot of programs deal with the stuff first. And I think dealing with the stuff first puts the emphasis on getting to this place of perfection before you can take the next step, which is why I purposely have put it to deal with the stuff last. So that's what Moneymaker is, really. It's 3 steps to bringing in 5 to 10K every month consistently. And it has everything in there. And it's a one-to-one program. That's another thing. I don't actually offer group programs at the minute, which might sound a bit odd. It's just not my thing for right now. That may change, but now I'm quite happy. So people get me to themselves for 3 months. God help them. God help them. But yeah, they've pretty much got unlimited access to me for that time, and that's why they get the results. So yeah, that's what Moneymaker is. I hope that came out really clear.
Yeah, it sounds very appealing.
Aha, the magic word.
Yes.
Appeal.
And I didn't even mean to use that word.
You see?
So tell us about, you also have VIP days, the Boost Your Business days.
Yes, I've got the signature Moneymaker program. And then I have Boost Your Business with VIP days, which is, I know it sounds funny, it's a VIP day to help people put their VIP day together. Because you know what? VIP days are, or intensives or immersion days, or people call them all sorts of various things. I call them a VIP day. It is the single quickest, easiest, and I know I'm using words that people are going to go, really? Most impactful way to get money coming into your business. Because the way I look at it is, sometimes when people come to me, they can do the whole 3 months. They like the 3 months. Some people like to quote unquote pace themselves. which is great. But if you are anything like me, you want the money, you want the results now. You want them yesterday. And that's what VIP days do. You don't need to have anybody on your list. You can sell them to somebody in the supermarket if they meet your ideal client brief. Mm-hmm. You can talk about it on social media. Have a one-to-one conversation with somebody, and the next thing you know, you've got £1,000, £1,500 per client coming in. It's sort of my top recommended way to get started and start making money right at the front. Because sometimes what happens is you spend the money on the website, you've spent the money on this, you're told, oh, you've got to Facebook and you've got to Twitter and you've got to what? And then overwhelm steps in, and before you know it, the money that you'd put aside to get your business going is quickly vanishing into thin air, and people end up spinning wheels, doing, and results aren't happening. And that's what the VIP day is about. So you come to me, we've got a day together, and I help you put your own high-end VIP day together and teach you how to market it and how to sell it. So when you leave the room, you have a plan to bring in money quickly.
Excellent.
So that's my other one. And then the other one is my Speak to Get More Clients 4-hour masterclass, which I only just added. And I'm really pleased that I did, because I sort of added it on one day and then sold 2 on the next day.
Ooh.
Which was quick, even for me. And I know that's been recorded, so somebody's probably going to test me on that. But I think it's one of those things where, because I am not, how do I put this in a positive way? I don't use social media as much as some people. For me, people get a sense of me when they can hear my voice, when they can hear me say things that are probably inappropriate or laugh at things that are inappropriate, use the odd swear words, things like that.
Which you haven't done yet today.
I'm really proud of myself, actually.
you are allowed to, so if you let one slip, that's perfectly fine.
Thank you. I thought I would try and get through the whole thing, but, we've got a bit of time left. Anyways, oh my goodness, I've gone off in my head and I'm giggling now.
Sorry. Your best thing is to get clients from speaking rather than from social media, because your personality is fabulous.
Thank you so much. You see, this is why. And I found that social media doesn't always give me that, Yeah. So it was one of those things where I thought, well, what works for me? And people were asking me, well, how do you sell this stuff? Because there's so much pressure on entrepreneurs to use social media. And it doesn't always come as easy to some people as it does to others. And so I was like, well, I don't really sell my high end on social media. I sell it from speaking. I found that people will watch my videos on YouTube and think, oh my gosh, she's a nut job. I want to work with her. But 9 out of 10 times, they've heard me speak somewhere, either on an interview like this, or seen me speak in person, or some other vehicle. And they were able to meet me and see me and realize this is the real me. I'm not all airbrushed and looking perfect, and I say stupid things sometimes, and I'm normal. And there are times when I take my shoes off because, you wear cute shoes and you're standing there and you're thinking, these shoes are hurting my feet. I can't even concentrate on what I'm saying. And what I found is that it was one of the easiest ways for me over the years to fill my business, right through from when I was in weddings and people would meet me at wedding fairs and go, I don't know what it is, but I like you immediately. And they'd book. Right through to my coaching business, where people would go, Julia, you're crazy. I really like your style. You're so nutty. How can I work with you? I was like, all right then. So I put together Speak to Get More Clients, really to respond to people asking me, how do you get your clients? And my answer was from speaking. And then what I realized, there's a lot of speak on the stage and sell. Mm-hmm. But what my masterclass does is I show people how to link their signature talk to their high-end offer. So the only thing you're selling on the stage is the thing that will bring you in the most money. And so the signature talk is directly tailored to lead people to establish my clients as an expert in their area and to help them lead the people who are listening to them right through to a very gentle sale of their most expensive service. And we do that in 4 hours, because once you already have a high-end offer in place, it's very easy to tailor the talk and to build in the sale into the talk. And the other thing that we work on in that session is some people will say, oh, you can't sell from my stage. Well, there is a way to still position yourself and to grow your list and to open people's minds to the idea of working with you and to give them an idea of what that could look like without actually saying, and if you want to buy from me, this is how you do it. So that's why I put Speak to Get More Clients together, because I wanted to let people know it was okay not to spend your life on Facebook.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm on Facebook, but I'm going to say this because you know what? Oh, well, the truth shall set you free. Personally, I get a bit fed up of what I call the contrived posts, which starts with, oh, I love my life and I get to travel. And if you want to love your life and get to travel too, why don't you book my $5,000 package? Or, you know, and I really just want to stick pins in my eyes when I read things like that. And I have no time for posts like that. I really, really don't. If I'm away, I'm away. If I'm out with my husband, I'm out with my husband. I post the stuff on Facebook that I would post if I didn't have a business. Yeah. Okay, fine. There are times when I will say, this is what is coming up in my business. But I just think I'd rather you just tell me, this is my offer. This is who it's for. If you're interested, can you get in touch? Rather than trying to give me a whole long story about the dog, the cat, the children, how it impacted your life. You know, things were so awful. Like, I don't need to read that every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Just tell me what it is. And so this is why I tend not to get a lot of clients from Facebook, because I feel as if I need to use it in a way that makes me feel good, first of all, because if I feel good, then people that read my post will feel that too.
Yeah, and you've got to use what works for you.
Yeah, you know, and I'm not saying that it doesn't work at all, but my primary way is to be in front of people to hear me. And so that's why I did Speak to Get More Clients. It was just to get people off the hook. People were putting themselves under so much pressure to use social media, or feeling really bad and comparing themselves because, you know, it wasn't working for them and the money's disappearing. And the reason why it's not working is just because that's just not your thing.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. And, you know, I often say, I heard somebody say, and I really can't remember who it was, and it really stuck in my head, that Martin Luther King organized how many men to march, and he didn't have Facebook to do it.
No.
You know, people were making money in business long before Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and all of those things. It's a tool.
Exactly. And you can use that tool, or you can use another tool.
Absolutely. But don't put yourself under pressure to use it if it's not the tool that you want to use. And for me, speaking works best for me. And I wanted to be able to teach people who felt that speaking would work best for them how to do it effectively. Because there's nothing worse than going and doing a talk, and you might have driven someplace and you've done a talk, and then you come off from doing the talk, even if it's not a big talk on stage in front of hundreds. Because when I say speak, I mean from a networking group to a teleclass online to a stage in front of 400 people, you know, as I've done all of the above. But there's nothing worse than getting off that stage and people go, that was a really nice talk. Yeah. I love your stuff. Can I add you as a Facebook friend? No. Or I love your stuff. I'll buy, you know, I really, really love your stuff. They don't even sign up for your list. They don't even ask for your newsletter.
Yeah.
It's nice when people compliment us and say, I love your stuff. However, if you just put £50 of diesel in your car to get somewhere, I love your stuff might not get you back home.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? So you want I love your stuff to translate into money in the bank. Thank you very much. And so that's what that is about, really, so that people know how to do that effectively and in a way that feels right to them. So yeah.
Yeah. So Julia, do you have any women business mentors? Are there any women in business who inspire you?
Yes, I have a long list, and I giggle because my list is part people who, you know, listeners might know, sort of big names, but really women who've impacted my journey along the way. And this month, January 2015 is my 4-year anniversary, and I thought it would be a good chance to just as they say on the radio, do a shout out to people. So these are the women who inspire me in no particular order, just in case any of them listen to this. I don't want to get into trouble. So Sophia Lennox, who's a coach, she was actually my first coach. And it was with her that I earned what I used to earn in my wages in a month in 3 days. And she really showed me what was possible for myself and for my business. And so she has a little corner of my heart forever and ever and ever. Because even before I had any intention of becoming a coach, I sort of knew that I needed her, which sounds a bit strange and very romantic, but it worked out really well. So she definitely inspires me, continues to inspire me. And we still keep in touch, which is nice. Then Jenny Kovacs, who I know you know, has become a good friend, a coach, kick me up the bum when I need it person. So I couldn't have a list of women that inspire me if she wasn't on it. And then there's another lady who I secretly admire, and I don't think she knows. Her name's Caroline Kane. I kind of cyber stalk her on Facebook. Dare I say that out loud? Because she comes across as being so gentle that I kind of think I love looking at how she just seemingly effortlessly, grows her business, lives the life that she wants without any of the hype. And there's so much hype that goes on Facebook that I think somebody who comes across as non-hypey just stands out in my mind. And she also strikes me as the kind of person who would just tell it like it is. So yeah, she is sort of my now not so secret crush. So I just best. And in terms of quote unquote like big names, when I say that, I don't mean it in any disrespectful way to the people that I've mentioned before. But there is an American coach called Venus Opal Reese, who is a Black woman, and she works with other Black women entrepreneurs to help them make their first million. So she's on my list of people that I just want to, kind of sit at their feet and soak everything up from, because obviously as a Black woman myself, it's important to me to see women who look like me and who kind of shared my journey in some ways culturally, kind of rocking out and doing what I aspire to do. And then there's Lisa Sasevich, and I've started going to her live events in America. Totally worth the travel, totally worth the money and everything else, because how do I put it? She just does what she does in a really cool way. And I like the fact that she just does it, there's none of the drama. She just gives really wholesome teaching, really applicable teaching and training. The other thing I really admire about her is that she gives to charity. Every time she hosts a live event, she actually raises funds for a charity in the event. Which giving to charity is a big thing for me. Every year I pick a charity to support through my business. And so that ranks high up on my list of priorities in my life and in my business. And so it's not something that I actually saw before I saw her doing it at an event, that I'd seen a coach do and really kind of say, well, you know what? Our businesses are to give us incredible lives and, buy designer shoes and handbags and travel and all of that. But it's also to equip us to make a difference in the world, which is something I had always felt, but I had never seen an example of. So that's why Lisa Sasevich is on there. And Gina DeVee, who I came across 2 years ago now, going on 3 years ago. And she's on my list because she kind of gives you permission to enjoy money. A lot of coaches who teach manifesting and business building and growth and bringing in money and all of those wonderful things. Sometimes we women can make it sound like if you make $1 million, you've got to give it all away. And Gina's like, well, actually, it's okay to keep some of it and spend it on shoes. Which for me is like, okay, it's you're meant to have fun with it as well. Serve, bless people, but have fun with it as well. And Kendall Summerhawk, which you will be pleased to know is the last on my list. I could just go on forever. And she's on there because I like her structure. I like the fact that she just seems really gentle. I think because I'm a bit in your face, I always admire people who are calm and who can run a business without shouting and screaming and, rocking out, at least publicly anyway. And she's on there because I just admire her work. I've been a follower of her work for a long time. She teaches money mindset. And to me, she comes across as spiritual, but very grounded, which is important. We can talk about manifesting and unicorns all day long, but like hell, we need to do the work,
Exactly.
If it was all about thinking and the law of attraction, like we'd all be skinny and rich, as the quote says. But we've got to do the work. We've got to put things in place. We've got to deal with the money stuff that comes up and, things like that. So, yeah, that's why she's on there. So that was a long list.
Oh, that was excellent. Thank you very much. So, Julia, where can people find you online?
Okay. My website is juliabernard.thompson.com, and I know that you will have a link to that somewhere.
Definitely.
People don't have to worry about how to spell it. And if they go to... I've actually prepared a special page where people can access an audio course, make 10K every 30 days as a thank you to the listeners. And there's also a masterclass on there, how to create a high-end offer your clients want to buy. So they sort of get 2 gifts from me. And I'm hoping that I got this right. I think it's juliabernard.thompson.com/bloom. But if that's not it, I'll send it to you and you'll add the correct link on there.
Perfect.
So that's my website and that's the free gift. And then I've got a YouTube channel. So I put teaching videos on YouTube quite often. And on YouTube, they just go to YouTube and search for the Julia Thompson. Mm-hmm. That's me. On Facebook, I am on Facebook. My Facebook page is Julia Bernard-Thompson, the Income Alchemist.
Ooh.
I think that's it for now. I'm on Twitter as Rich Sassy Julia.
Ooh.
I admit I don't tweet very often. That might change. For now, I kind of do it. I try to do it at least once a day, which is not very fast. But I am on Twitter. I think that's it, really.
Excellent.
So, website, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, and that's where people can find me online. My suggestion is if they request the download, it means then when I'm doing live things, they will get the notification because I travel a fair bit. So I'm not just in the UK, I go to America and I work in the Caribbean as well. So probably getting on the list and downloading the product is the easiest way, because then if I'm going somewhere and people want to meet me in person, I have a weakness for champagne and afternoon tea, then it's easier to get in touch with me that way.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Holly. This was really good fun.
Yes. Excellent. Yeah. And thank you for listening. And remember to visit readytobloom.com/82 for the show notes on this episode. Thank you.
Thanks so much for listening to the Ready to Bloom podcast with your host, Holly Wharton. If you enjoyed this episode, remember to head over to iTunes and leave us a quick review of this podcast. Thank you.